Imagine That, the podcast where we explore the magic behind the magic of your favorite theme parks. Join us as we pull back the curtain on the creative process, storytelling, and design principles that make Disney parks and beyond so immersive. Whether you're a lifelong fan, a curious creative, or just love spotting the details most people miss, you're in the right place. So get ready to tap into your imagination as we take a deeper dive into the lands, attractions, and stories that bring the parks to life. Let's imagine that together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Imagine That, part of Walt Apartment Productions. I'm one of your hosts, Amanda, and I'm joined by Kevin.
Hello, everyone.
And in each episode of Imagine That this month, we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of Disney California Adventure. But before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors, Sunken City Designs, Getaway Today, and Where in the Park. And of course, big shout out to our Lamplighters, our Patreons who are keeping that conversation going over on our Discord, which if you have not yet joined, you totally should. It's free. It's a lot of fun. All of us at Walt's Apartment are in there and we're talking about theme parks all the time. So click the link in the show notes to check it all out. So, as I mentioned, we are celebrating 25 years of Disney California Adventure, or DCA, as we'll be frequently referring to it. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about the history of DCA, just a high level overview of how we got it and what we got and where we are today before we do some armchair imagineering of how we can plus it. So, action packed episode. And I want to note that next weekend, as we are recording this, Kevin and I will be at the D23 Spotlight Series event, which is going to include an exclusive panel from Walt Disney Imagineering. So we will be highlighting what we learned at that event in our next episode of Imagine That. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get notified once that episode drops. You won't want to miss it. And I know both of us are super stoked to attend that event. But until then, let's get on with today's episode. Kevin, let's first lay the groundwork for how we got to DCA.
All right, so we're going to go all the way back to 1955, right? That's when Disneyland opened. I believe we all know that if you're listening to this podcast. It's probably no surprise. Within less than a decade, you have Walt Disney buying property over in Florida, right? And in 1965, they announced the Florida Project. A year after that, Walt Disney records a video talking about Disney World, which is the name that he gave it at that point, and how it was going to be anchored in Epcot, the city of Epcot. But he dies soon after he records that. It isn't until 1971, 5 years later, that the Magic Kingdom park actually opens over at Walt Disney World in Florida. So you have it where you have Disneyland over here on the West Coast, and over on the East Coast, you have the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, right? We're all
Right.
following. It's not that
Got
complicated so far.
it.
All right. But every year from 66 until 78, the Disney company, they announce like, hey, we are still trying to figure out how to create Epcot, the city over in Florida, because that was Walt's kind of dying dream. And it was referred to often as like Walt's dream of Epcot. And the Disney company was really adamant on, we are working hard to get this to happen. We're going to have a city in Florida near the Magic Kingdom because that's what Walt had told us he wanted, and that's what we're going to design. And with all of that planning, they ended up making a few ideas for things to be kind of part of what Epcot was supposed to be. And that was like what became the World Showcase and what was then called Future World. Right, they were going to be their own two different distinct areas near the Magic Kingdom that you could visit while you were at Walt Disney World. But as time went on, they kind of merged together and became Epcot Center. So in 1982, after breaking ground in 1979, Epcot opens, and it wasn't like a big success right from the beginning, but it slowly built momentum. And by the end of the 80s, like the Disney company realized, hey, having two parks near each other is a way to make a lot of money. because it didn't really happen, right? Like, it isn't something that it had existed before. With Disneyland being the first, like, big theme park, it didn't have a second park, and other ones around the world, you had, like, Tivoli Gardens and some of the other, like, regional kind of things that had existed before Disney or things that had popped up since. Having 2 theme parks side by side owned by the same company didn't make sense in most people's heads, right? But then Epcot came around and proved that was a winning model. People would go to your area and see it as a destination. So you'd have people staying in your hotels a little bit longer and spending more money. So yeah, so in 1983, so look, taking a step back here, Tokyo Disneyland had opened. It was very successful from day one. And by 1988, 5 years later, the Oriental Land Company, who owned or still owns that park and everything around it, they announced, hey, we're working on a second gate for this Disneyland resort. It wouldn't be until many years later that they came up with like Disney Sea as the idea for that and all of that jazz. But the point is that within 5 years, they were like, hey, we see that Epcot's making money over in Florida with the two parks side by side with Magic Kingdom and Epcot. We want to do that over here in Tokyo as well. And in Anaheim, Disney is like, hey, how about if we add a second park near Disneyland? And that's when in 1991 they actually announced that they were working on Westcott, and it was going to be this big theme park kind of inspired by Epcot. It was going to have this huge spaceship Earth style attraction as like the icon for the park, and they had put into an announcement saying, "Hey, this is going to be a 300-foot tall version of this attraction." Now, just for reference, the Epcot version of Spaceship Earth is 180 feet tall. And the Pixar Pal Around over at California Adventure is 160 feet tall. So this is going to be a huge golf ball hanging out in the middle of Anaheim. I see Amanda over here shaking her head.
I
Right?
can't even imagine that. First off, like the skyline as it is, but to have I mean, I don't think anything is over 200 feet, right? Because of the city requirements, and of having the flashing red lights, and they didn't want that. That's why Tower of Terror is 199, I think. Um, but to have the idea of a 300-foot tall spaceship Earth style attraction is crazy to think about at DCA today.
Yeah, it would take up most of I mean, again, the design for the park was kinda like that was in the middle and, like, there were gonna be offshoots to it again. It was gonna be in the same exact location on the original design, still in the parking lot of Disneyland. Um, but yeah, so they put out that announcement and said, "Hey, people of Anaheim, this is what we're planning to do." And the people of Anaheim reportedly hated this idea. They were like, "We don't want a huge golf ball being, like, seen off the freeway coming into our city. Please don't do that," right? So that
Right.
was, like, right from the very beginning. It was like, "I don't know, people don't like our idea." 1992. So it's 91, they announced this. The next year, they opened up Europe Disney over in Paris, and they thought, "Hey, this is gonna be our turn to, like, go overseas." Because again, Tokyo was built by a different company. It wasn't built by Disney. So a lot of the money that was making was going to that other company, with them just paying a licensing fee to Disney. So they thought, "Hey, let's make a ton of money, go over to Europe. We're gonna go to France with our Disneyland park over there. We're gonna make all that money for ourselves." And it didn't work out that well. So that park didn't make money on day one. The first time it ever saw any kind of profit was in 1995, and they didn't actually start doing like kind of routinely well not until like 2019, according to a quick Google search I did. So
Wow.
I mean, that's a long time. So
Yeah.
going going back here, so 1992, it comes up while they're just trying to like figure out what to do for the second gate at Disneyland. It's like, oh crap, we're losing money over here. And again, you also have like Frank Wells dying in here, I think in 94. So you have
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff kind of piling on for people being like, oh, we need to start saving money. We can't waste all of our money, right? So they had altered the plans for Westcott to get rid of that ball, but they designed something that's going to be between $3 and $4 billion. And at that point, Disney was like, we can't afford to do that kind of park. Also, what if it's not a success? We're going to lose all that money like they just did in Paris. So they were like, "Hey, let's scrap this. We're not going to do Westcott." And that was kind of the way it was. But they were like, "Hey, but we still want to have more money because we know a second gate will do that. How about if we do a cheap version?" So they went back to the drawing board.
That's crazy. So, I knowing DCA as well as we do, this is all just so wild to me because I didn't know that part about the giant golf ball. And I'm still trying to picture this. I can't even wrap my head around this.
No,
But
there's concept art of it. It's like a big gold ball too. It wasn't even the silver one like over
gold.
in Florida. Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh
It looks more
dear.
smooth. Not so much golf ball, but a big
Right.
sphere.
Right. Well, before we dive a little bit more into DCA, we talked a lot about theme parks across the country and overseas. And if you are looking to book your next trip to a Disney park, you need to call our friends over at Getaway Today. So let's take a quick break, learn more about them, and we'll be right back.
It's been a great show so far, but who's ready for an ad break? Did you know that the best way to keep our shows going is by supporting our sponsors? So, let's get to know more about the travel experts at Getaway Today. They've been helping to make vacation dreams come true since 1990. And whether you want to visit the happiest place on earth or to travel to Orlando for a most epic adventure, they are there to help. Are you trying to find out which hotel is your best option or which theme park tickets will work best for your visit? Are you concerned that you might need a last minute change? No worries. Their travel experts will help you out. Looking to book a cruise but don't know where to start? Hey, they can help with that too. They will find the perfect cruise for your vacation, whether it's your first time or you're a well seasoned cruiser. When you book your cruise with one of the Getaway Today experts, you will have a dedicated agent to help you every step of the way. They take care of the details so you can have the most fun. Getaway Today offers peace of mind travel, allowing you to cancel or make changes up to 72 hours before your trip. You will always have the most up-to-date vacation information, both pre-arrival and upon welcome. Getaway Today guarantees the best prices, with no hidden fees, and every time you book through Getaway Today, they will donate a portion back to a charitable organization in your area. And so far, over $4.5 million have been donated. So go ahead and dial 1-855-GETAWAY, that's 1-855-438-2929, and be sure to tell them that Walt's Apartment sent you. Or just click the link in our show notes for more information and the best deals to start your Disney, Universal Studios, or cruise vacation planning. What I'm trying to say is, if you like to travel, check out Getaway Today. Alright, so now it's time to get back to enjoying that view from Walt's apartment. Let's get back to the show.
All right. Yes, definitely call our friends at Getaway Today. They've helped all of us out here at Walt's apartment. And even if you just have a quick question, they are here to help you out. So, all right, Kevin, getting back to DCA. So we went back to the drawing board. Got to figure out what we're going to put in the second park. Take it from there.
Okay, so here we are, right? We're in the 90s. I want to bring up that also over in Florida, Disney MGM Studios opened in 1989. So they have three parks over there versus the one over on the West Coast. So they're kind of trying to come up with a new idea. And the easiest would obviously be to just build a movie park, just like Hollywood Studios. But right up the road from Disneyland, you already have Universal Studios Hollywood. Like that was there, it was growing at the time. They knew it'd be a tough thing to compete with, right? And the other big issue that you have with California is that, again, you have that park up there. You have Knott's Berry Farm not far away. You have so much to do in California. There's museums, SeaWorld. I mean, there's so many things here that they saw as kind of like a challenge to create something at the Disneyland park that people would even want to spend their time to go to. Because again, you have other stuff to do. Whereas in Florida, they were like, hey, of course, people who go to Florida are just going there for the Magic Kingdom. So to give them something else to do while they're in Florida, it makes sense. Um, Obviously, when they built Epcot, I don't think SeaWorld existed yet out there. Definitely Universal Studios didn't exist out there. So there wasn't really much else to do. There was Cypress Gardens kind of down south from there. But anyway, the point though is that over in California, they were like, hey, the best thing about coming to Disneyland is that you get to visit all the other cool stuff in California. And apparently, there were multiple Imagineers that had kind of thrown the idea into the ring of like, how about if we have it where the theme for this park is California? Because, like, if people are coming to California for California, let's give them California, right? It's pretty simple as far as you can wrap your head around how point A to point B would happen. Um, so that's what we ended up getting was them coming up with ideas that were based on California. So they kind of found the highlights of California that weren't already trademarked, like, Universal Studios and SeaWorld and all that stuff. They were like, hey, we have piers, we have the wharf areas, we have forests, we have Hollywood,
National
like
parks, yeah,
yeah, exactly, right? We have all these things here that people love. We can build a whole park. We have farmland. Remember, one of the original
right.
lands of California Adventure was based on farming. So and wine for some reason.
The
So it was one of those
giant
things.
parts of our state is farmland and wine
Exactly.
country. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what they ended up kind of putting together. But at the same time, you had a guy named Paul Pressler and you had Michael Eisner, who were both very much like, we need to save money because again, we're hemorrhaging money on Euro Disney. So they put out there, hey, guys, make a second theme park for Disneyland, but try to make it inexpensive for us. So that's what we ended up getting. Um, yeah, so when they were designing California Adventure, one of the things that apparently they kept in mind was it needed to be kind of the opposite of Disneyland because they didn't want to build Disneyland across from Disneyland. They felt like that would be too weird at the time. They were like, people are going to design it if we build the same exact thing right below it, but it won't be as good as it, as good as it. Why even go to it? Which is kind of foreshadowing, I guess. um, but yeah, so they decided that everything in that park would take place in California today, and that it would be edgy and for some reason full of bad puns, and that it would not rely heavily on IP. Those were kind of like the things driving it. I mean, the original Epcot park was also driven by the idea of not being heavily based on IP because it was trying to be a Disney park that wasn't the Magic Kingdom. So they're kind of using that same framework for California Adventure. So yeah, so when the park first opened, like it had that Mickey head over on California Screamin'. That's what the Incredicoaster was called back when the park first opened. And they had two 3D movies. Both of them were actually already playing at Walt Disney World. You had Muppet Vision 3D and It's Tough to Be a Bug, and both of those opened with California Adventure back in 2001. There's also the animation building. They had the animation courtyard where there was concept art projected on the walls, just like you have today. There weren't videos back then; it was just photos kind of going through. They upgraded that later on, but he had music from those films playing. It was beautiful to walk into, just like it is today, where you walk in there and it feels really cool. Hey, I'm surrounded by Disney in this one spot of this park. It was kind of the way it was when it first opened. Like that's where you had most of your Disney was inside of the animation courtyard and the animation building. Obviously, they had the drawn to animation presentation like they have today, where you go in there and you learn how to draw a Disney character. That was there from the opening day, and they had the Sorcerer's Workshop which was at its full glory back when the park first opened. We had that for years. I don't know if it's still open for that first section. Still, we haven't gone in there recently. I don't know if you could still
I
draw
think
your
so.
animated.
Well,
Yeah, because I
they recently opened it back up for the Lorcana, the trading card thing where you would go into Beast Library, so the workshop had to have been open.
oh, there you
So,
go. So that as you walk into the first area, you could draw like on a strip. You can animate it through one of those not rotoscope, but
Zoe yeah,
not a
zoetrope kind
zoetrope.
of
I
a
don't know,
thing.
whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah, you get what I'm
brings your
talking about.
pictures to life.
So that is you can see your animation come to life. Exactly.
Yeah.
So then the next room you had Beast Library, like the Beast Library, where you answer some questions. It would tell you which Disney character you were most like, depending on whether or not you want to eat friends for lunch or like eat with good friends for lunch or something. Right. That
Right.
would tell if it was a villain or a good person. Anyway, and then the next room that they closed pretty early on was based on Ursula from The Little Mermaid, where you would sing a Disney song, like karaoke style, and then it would play it back to you with the Disney film that the song was from, with your voice in place of the actual music. So it was a thing they had for a very short amount of time, but that's what the park opened with, and that was like the IP in the park. Um, yeah, did I miss any? You can tell me if I'm
No.
crazy here. Yeah, that's most of them. Oh yeah, there's also
Yeah.
the ABC soap opera Bistro. It was a restaurant when they
Yeah.
first opened, which is kind of IP based. I mean, it's not the Disney that we think of today, but I mean, I'm sure some people do. I just don't personally.
Corporate synergy.
Right. So everything else in the park was original. So you had Soarin' Over California, Superstar Limo, Grizzly River Run, the Bountiful Valley Farm, Pacific Wharf, Paradise Pier, and all of their attractions and restaurants, minus that Mickey head, they were all original ideas based on nothing that was distinctly Disney. Um, yeah, there was the Imagine. Oh, sorry. I think the name of the shop over at Toontown today is kind of the same play on words, where it's the Something ear.
We had
I
the
can't remember the name.
engineers
There
talking
you go.
about DCA.
Yeah, California
Yeah.
Adventure, they had a toy store right at the entrance. When you walked into the right, it was the Engineer toy store or whatever it was called. Where the ear was
Sounds
its
like
own word, like Mickey ears. It was kind of the inspiration there. So it was very loosely themed to Mickey Mouse there. But that was about it. That's like where you had your Disney connections. And yeah, again, the driving force behind this entire design of DCA 1.0 was it can't be too expensive. We had to save money. We had to make sure that everything was with a tight budget. And yeah, it ended up opening on February 8th, 2001. And the general agreement was that it just didn't really work.
no, which is super sad because in walking, this memory lane here, I'm like, "Oh, I missed that part." I mean, I do miss the Bountiful Valley Farms. I miss the murals that were at the beginning, and I wish that we had more footage, because nowadays we're focused so much on the details of things that I wish that I had taken a moment to really appreciate all of the work that went into those murals right at the front entrance. So you had the California letters all spelled out right before the front gates. Of course, that was a great photo op, the postcard moment with the Golden Gate Bridge where the monorail went over, and then you had those two murals in between the California letters and the Golden Gate Bridge that kind of like told the history of California and all these things. And um so I do miss, even though it was made on a budget, they still put those details in to the best of their ability with the limited resources that they had. So I yeah, I do miss some of those things. I love the puns, the Burbank ice cream. Um Don't give me that look.
Okay.
It was clever. It was clever.
I do want to point out that
So
those murals were actually they were reported as the world's largest mosaics when the park opened.
see?
So they did spend some money on that. I don't know how much. I don't know who they got to do them, but yeah. But they ended up just kind of taking a wrecking ball to them eventually. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert for what's coming up with the
Yeah.
story.
There's
But
For those of you who know Disney history, DCA had a major renovation, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, as we have a turning point in history here, let's take a moment and hear from another one of our sponsors. Let's hear from our good friend Louis Medina over at Sunken City Designs.
Sunken City Designs brings you art. Do you like art? I know I do. How about art based on Disney characters, like Mickey Mouse and the Oyster Thieves? You know, that's actually from Alice in Wonderland, the best princess movie ever made. Also, we have some dwarfs that have their heads ripped off sometimes. Why? I don't know. It's because it's Sunken City Design. So go there, sunkencitydesign.com. Get yourself some great merchandise. You got posters and I believe clothes. Who knows? I got a cup from there and it's fantastic. Do you like cups? Do you ever use those? I do. Go for it. Oh yeah, sweatshirts. Can't forget about those. If you're ever cold, get yourself a sweatshirt from sunkencitydesign.com. Also, Wally. You know, that's the best movie ever made. Second only to Alice in Wonderland. All right. If you also like Walt's apartment, they have merch for that too. Where? sunkencitydesign.com. Hopefully you've already loaded up that site and you're looking at it and you have some items in your cart. Go ahead and check out as soon as you can because the show's about to come back on. All right, everybody. We appreciate you.
We do appreciate you. And we appreciate Louis Medina from Sunken City Designs. Quick update, it is sunkencitydesigns.com, plural. So go over there, check it out. If you don't follow him on Instagram and all the social medias, do so and make sure that you have August blocked off on your calendar because he is putting together an art exhibit with his art down here in Southern California. So He's going to be announcing all kinds of great things as we get closer, and we'll definitely be there to support him, and you should too. So, the first weekend of August is when like the big kind of open house is going to be, but the exhibit's going to be all month long. So, again, follow Sunken City Designs on social media and be sure to block that off on your calendar. And of course, all the shows here, we will be promoting it as we get closer because we're just so proud of Lou. For those longtime listeners, he was also one of our co hosts here on Imagine That and Walt's Apartment Productions. So, yes, we appreciate you, Lou. We know you're listening.
For sure. For sure.
All right. So, where would we leave off?
All right, so you have California Adventure 2001. It opens up. It does not have it where, yeah, people didn't show up the way that Disney was hoping that they would. Yeah, I know I was reading some things recently where they were talking about how they were expecting, I don't know, it was like 30,000 people or something for the first year, but they ended up getting like 8,000 or maybe 30,000 a day, I think was what it was. But they were getting 8,000 a day. I think that's exactly what it was. It was just kind of a weird, like, that's not what we were aiming for. And it's because they cut the corners on everything that they were building and people noticed. So, again, like Amanda said, I loved California Adventure 1.0, so did she. But again, we
Yeah.
weren't the people coming for one day only from far away. Actually, 2001 was my first year ever getting an annual pass for Disneyland because it was back when it was like 99 bucks for their cheap
Oh.
locals pass that was still good on most Sundays throughout the year. So I know it was a different time back then. And that's when I was like, sure, let's do it. Let's get this $99 pass and go over to Disneyland and California Adventure all the way we want. And back then, California Adventure was great because it was kind of just the locals park, which was great for us locals, but not great for Disney. Because again, they weren't making all the money that they were hoping they would make off this park. So they started to add to it. And I wrote down some notes here as far as like some of the things added. I'm not going to include every single attraction because like, it can get kind of boring. But just like the highlights, where you have a Bugs Land open the next year in 2002, which was the first one that was really like kind of a big deal as far as them kind of giving up on every land, or I guess they called them, I can't remember, sections or districts. They did, I think it was districts back when they first opened, where everything was just based off of California. This was the first thing based off of an IP. It's one of the first lands really dedicated to one IP as well, beating Harry Potter by a few years. But again, a Bugs Land was kind of just, it was like their version of I want to say Toontown, but even that's being kind of generous. It was like they had some kind of flat rides they kind of just bought off the shelf and themed it loosely to a Bug's Life. Um, am I being too harsh? I don't know.
No, I mean, you had, Heimlich's Choo Choo Train, just a slower train, for the kid. I mean, they're all kiddie rides, right? You have, France's Ladybug Boogie, super cute, kinda like a teacup style, attraction, and then Flicks Flyers, which, is Emotional Whirlwinds. It's the exact same ride.
Same attraction.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
literally,
they moved it
literally.
over there. Spoiler, Bugs Land's not gonna stay around
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. Well, the
Uh,
thing, one of the big complaints about California Adventure when it first opened was that there wasn't much for kids to do, and really like
right.
there was thrill rides and I guess the Animation Academy. I don't know. There really wasn't a lot for kids to do. So that was their response to it was let's throw in a Bugs Land. They already had the It's Tough to Be a Bug show. So they kind of just adjusted their Apple Valley Farm area into a Bugs Land. And yeah, so that's kind of where it started. Obviously, they built the Tower of Terror, I think by like 2004, to again another thrill ride, but it was still they needed more capacity in this park. What do you say?
Right, which I would argue, well, first off, for the kiddos to blow off some steam, you had across the way the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail, which is
Oh
fantastic
yes,
over, in Grizzly Peak, but I will make the argument that because of, it's, a Bugs Land, that they were able to play with scale in a new way, and that paved the way for Toy Story Land.
yeah.
Having where you are shrunken to the size of a bug in this case, and then later on, shrunken to the size of a toy when it comes to Toy Story Land at the various parks, so
I mean, I guess we can point to like the Honey I Shrunk the Audience
yeah.
playground over at the MGM Studios Park in Florida that came before that too. So I mean, it all kind
Right.
of goes hand in hand as far as them making fake grass for you to be around to make you look like you're small. But
That's right. I forgot about that.
yeah, so it was just an evolution of ideas, and yeah, I think that the Bugs Land did a really good job of it. I think it does a
Mhm.
better job making you feel like you're small than Toy Story Land does in any of the. Well, we've only been to two Toy Story Lands, over in Paris and over in Disney's Hollywood Studios. But anyway, so we're just kind of going on tangents here. So
That's no
anyway,
big
so
deal.
by 2005, right? That's the year that Disneyland had its big 50th anniversary. That's when they went through and repainted everything that was kind of falling apart before that. Because again, like I said, in 2001, when I got my first pass, I was there every few weekends. And I noticed, like, this place, like, you have light bulbs that are out, you have paint that needs to be touched up. Walt would be really upset about this. And then, like, a few people died. Anyway, so it's really not
Whoops.
that's not the story that we're telling today. Right. So you had new management come in and say, "Hey, we need to fix this because this is obviously bad. We have a theme park that is not being loved by people over at California Adventure. We have Disneyland that's getting tarnished by you guys not keeping it up to date." So 2005 came around, they repainted everything, updated the management styles, and yeah, so it's been good since then, I think. Right. Bob Iger became CEO in October of 2005, and he doubled down. Was like, you know what? Investing in the parks makes it where you make more money. Because again, 2005 was a huge year for Disneyland. They touched up all the stuff, made it look pretty, and people came to the park in droves. Like it was the busiest like it'd been in years. So they were like, hey, spending money makes money. I get that now, finally. And in 2007, DCA 2.0 was announced. Toy Story Midway Mania opened in 2008. The Orange Stinger was an attraction from when the park first opened. It was the Silly Symphony swings where that is today. The exact same Silly Symphony swings were inside of a orange peel. They got rid of the orange peel and bee theme of the Orange Stinger and became Symphony swings based off of a Mickey Mouse short from Silly Symphonies. Um, the band leader, something like that.
Yeah.
They opened World of Color in 2010, which again was a great show. That's where I ended up meeting Amanda over here a few months
Yeah.
after they premiered it. Woo! High five. I'm going the wrong way. I'm not good at StreamYarding. I'm not good at StreamYard high fives. Anyway, so
Okay.
Mulholland Madness was another opening day attraction. It was just a over off the shelf Wild Mouse ride that was painted orange for some reason. It had cars that were supposed to be based on Mulholland Drive and the Los Angeles area. They rethemed that to Goofy Sky School. So that's what's still there today. One of the scariest rides in the park, according to some. So ever
Facts.
since 2011, that's been there as a Goofy based ride across from the Mickey based swings. Right. So that's the reason why you have the IP in there taking over just the California theme. Because again, the oranges were based on it being an orange orchard when they first got that land. And Mulholland is not that far from Disneyland, I guess. Yeah,
Sure.
so not long after that, they were knocking down the original entrance to DCA, and then they'd finally opened it as well as a new Pixar Cars themed land called Cars Land in 2012. So you have Buena Vista Street, Cars Land opening in 2012, kind of making DCA into what we know it as today. It wouldn't be until 6 years later that Paradise Pier became Pixar Pier, and A Bug's Land closed. I think also that same year, yeah, in 2018. But Avengers Campus took over that spot, and it would open until 2021, mostly because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I think it's supposed to open in 2020, but anyway, so June 4th, 2021. We have Avengers Campus in there. 2019, the Motional Whirlwind, like you said, is that when it took over where the Maliboomer used to be. There was like this like shoot in the sky ride. I don't know. It looked kind of like Supreme Scream and Knott's Berry Farm, but instead of just like slowly going up and dropping you, it would shoot you up. If you ever go to Vegas, it's on top of the stratosphere. I think it's the exact same ride mechanism, but they put a shield in front of your face because they didn't want to have you. Well, I guess like if you look at the Incredicoaster and you see these big tunnels on it, those are there to shield the screams from like the people on the ride from being heard by people outside in the city because people in the city were kind of freaking out like I don't want to hear screams all day long coming from your silly park Disney. Like they didn't know that there was a theme park over there this whole time. But yeah, so that's why the scream shields are there and that's why that scream shield was put onto this ride. But when you're on it, it just became kind of a weird like, why am I having trouble breathing right now? Because I have a weird shield in my face, and yeah, it would echo your scream back at you. And I always thought it was there in case you like threw up, but apparently it was there for the
Yes.
screams.
We
Yeah.
we always called it the vomit guard or,
Yeah.
some equivalent thereof because that's one that I remember going on and I was green for quite some time afterward. And that was definitely a no, I'm good. I will stay on the ground. Thank you very much. So I was a-okay with it going away. And yeah, no, thank you.
You don't like rides like that in general. I mean, you don't even like
I
the
know.
Tower of Terror or Guardians of the Galaxy over there.
Facts.
But the thing is
Facts.
that scream shield was such a thick plastic to like prevent it from falling apart. Because again, it was shooting up in the sky like repeatedly throughout the day. That like looking through it just kind of distorted everything. So it made everything look kind of weird as you went up. So it kind of disoriented you. And anyway, so like they actually took that ride out 9 years before they replaced it. So they felt that the Paradise Pier area was better off without having this attraction at all. Um, yeah. Yeah. All right. So then obviously in 2023, you have Pacific Warp being converted into San Francisco Square, which is based on the film Big Hero 6. Um, which is all like just kind of telling you what we have today as far as the mainland. The thing is that it's still based very like you could connect everything to California if you're creative enough, right? Because like Big Hero 6 obviously takes place in San Francisco. It's a fictional town, but I believe it's still in California, kind of where San Francisco is, with a lot of Tokyo references in it. That's why if you walk through there, you have all the like I don't know if it's J-pop or whatever you want to call that music playing in there. I love it personally, but it's I know after a while it gets a little bit like let's go to another land, but it's still fun. Cars Land is based off of Route 66, which ends in California, even though the movie takes place, I think, in like Arizona or something. I don't know if they ever actually say it, but that's where a lot of the buildings are kind of from. But either way, Route 66, California, it's connected. Cars, it's California. The original idea for Cars Land was Carland, based on an idea by Imagineer Kevin Rafferty, where he wanted to land in California Adventure based off of car culture in California, because that's a big deal here, apparently. So that's the reason why we have a Cars Land in California Adventure. It makes sense. The Avengers campus, it is, if you look everywhere, they have little things saying like it's Avengers Campus West Coast. So there was like a West Coast Avengers kind of storyline in the comics. There have been storylines in Marvel that take place in California. It's not crazy to say, even though, like, for the most part, having web slingers ride with Peter Parker, who's out of New York, kind of historically, I'm
There
sure
a
those comic
lot of
books
things.
were
Yeah, everything's New York based. What are you talking about?
I'm sure that there were some comic books out there with Peter Parker going to California. You know, it's not like it's out of like completely left field. It's not so absurd that it couldn't happen, right? It's not like you're taking a planet from another world and putting it into California. That would make no sense.
That would be crazy.
Yes. Um, talking about that. So upcoming things, like as far as the only things I could think of that are currently confirmed, they have been announced. I don't know if they're going to go back on the second one of these, but the first one they've actually broken ground on, I've heard, which is a Coco ride being put into the former Paradise Pier, now Pixar Pier area of the park. So Coco is a Pixar movie. Oh yeah, Pixar Pier makes sense also because again, it's a pier. California has piers. Also, Pixar is based in Emeryville, which is in California.
Right.
So it's not crazy, even though it's very loose. Because if you think of like the film Coco, that takes place in Mexico. Why is that in California? But again, California used to be Mexico, so it's not completely absurd, I guess. Incredibles, I don't know where that takes place. It could be California. Do they say where that is? I don't know the canon of Incredibles
I don't
or
remember.
Toy Story.
But
I think it could be anywhere. So
yeah, it could be. It could be.
yeah, so not crazy. But again, that's all building up to the other huge thing that they're planning to add to this park, which is supposed to be taking over where Monsters Inc. is today, which I didn't mention. I don't think I mentioned that. Did I mention that? I don't know. Not that
Say it
important.
again.
But Superstar Limo opening day attraction closed
Oh
within less than a year of opening because it was not great. And it eventually became a Monsters Inc. based ride, which again is a Pixar film, which is not on Pixar Pier. But again, you have a Cars Land that's not on Pixar Pier either. It's kind of a hodgepodge here, guys. But bear with me. The plan is to replace where that is in that section of the park behind the Hollywoodland. So I guess the Hollywood Pictures backlot section of the Hollywoodland land. It's like a subland within the land. is socially turned into an Avatar-based land based on the James Cameron film Avatar. And it's going to be based on Avatar 2, maybe 3. It's not very clear right now. We're over in Florida, over at Disney's Animal Kingdom, they have an Avatar-based land, which is based on the first movie, kind of. It's like, it's kind of like a sequel, I guess. I don't even know. Like the
Yeah.
timeline wise, it's like 100 years after the first movie or something, because it's long after the first movie takes place, but it's, I guess, after the second, third one, but it's based on the places that appeared in the first one. Anyway, so the idea here is that you're not getting the same exact thing. It's not going to be a carbon copy of what we have in Florida, which was a thing that traditionally would happen at Disney parks and other theme parks too. It was the thing that I feel like until very recently they've been realizing that isn't the best way to do things, to just carbon copy. I guess like it saves money, but it doesn't make as much money, if that makes sense. Or people
Right.
want to see something new. You have too many people who are enthusiasts that go to both coasts or go around the world, and they're not going to travel across the world to see something at your park that they could visit at another park. So,
Right.
yeah.
Which my question, all of this talk about how each land in DCA ties loosely or directly to California. How does Avatar fit that mold?
When we were at D23, back in 2024, that's when they announced this whole thing. And I asked one of the Imagineers who was in the pavilion, what are they called, pavilions? In the Imagineering area over at D23
Right.
on the show floor. And I knew he couldn't give me any details because again, that's not in their contract. They signed an NDA. I understand that. I respect that. All I asked was, will this Avatar land make sense in California Adventure? Do you have a story that makes it where we are still in California and we are going to this other world and it will make sense? And he assured me, yes. Yes, we have a story to have it where you will go from California Adventure to this park and it will make sense. Obviously, I didn't get any details because he wasn't going to be sharing that with me, but it was enough to make me feel like, okay, there might be something. I haven't figured out what they're going to do. And again, they always have fun surprises. But yeah, as of right now,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how it's going to fit. We had an episode of our Where in the Park podcast. Spoiler alert, we have another podcast. If you love listening to our voices, you can hear us some more over at the Where in the Park podcast. Wherever you're listening to this, you can find us there as well. And there was an episode that we did that was all about oh gosh, I've like blanked over here. Um,
What?
what was I talking about?
You were
Okay.
talking about Avatar and then you switched to our podcast. We were talking about like what transitions? What are we talking about?
Oh gosh, my brain just really like fried on me right now.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's do this. How about this? If all this talk about DCA has got you wanting to take your park, make your park reservation and take your experience up to the next level, then you need to check out our self-paced seek and find games over at we'reinthepark.com. So let's take a moment and learn more about those, and maybe Kevin will get his train of thought back in the meantime.
Hey fam, what are
Cool.
you doing?
Well, we are doing Where in the Park.
Do you guys know Where in the Park? Because we do.
We do.
So how you play this is that they give you a deck of cards with an image on it,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to look around and see where in the park that is.
And they're fun. So if you like to find stuff, this is what you need to
The
do.
amazing game, Where in the Park, right here.
If you're a seasoned Disney park goers as we are, it's a fun, challenge even for the hardcore Disney parks fan.
We have played the Where in the Park games that
Yep.
we felt like, ooh, we got
Still
this
a
in
challenge.
bed. Oh no, yeah, still a challenge, a fun challenge though, not an impossible challenge.
Check
Yeah,
them
really
out.
they get really close to details, and you're like, I have never even seen that. I don't even know.
Where in the park have I seen that?
The great thing about these is that they're not in attractions and they're out in the open places. It's meant for families to play.
Besides people who've been there a lot, it's fun for people that are new to the parks as well, because you catch some of those details that you would probably miss when you're first going.
So there's images that you are finding on one side of the card, and then the other has the hint and the answer that you can reveal if you choose to.
Before it was just the hint and the answer, but now if you really want the land,
It'll tell you
they'll
where.
give you the land for an extra hint. You guys can take as long as you wish without the hint.
Yeah.
Without the hint, it's hard.
But that's what makes it fun.
But they do not just do Disney parks, obviously. What other parks do you guys actually cover?
Universal and not all that good stuff.
East Coast, West Coast, and they're continuing to expand even more after that.
Check them out, weareinthepark.com, if you need to get some game packs. They are so much fun.
We appreciate We're in the Park.
You know, they're awesome.
We love
Kevin and
that.
Amanda.
Get you some We're in the Park today.
Hell yeah.
Use promo code Walt's APT Podcast to save 10% at weareinthepark.com.
Yes, we have so many details to find across all the theme parks in California and in Florida, and we are expanding to other states as well. So definitely check it out over at we'reonthepark.com. And as Kevin mentioned before we went on our break, we also have a podcast, the Where in the Park podcast, where we're covering the history, stories, and secrets behind the details of these theme parks. This last episode, we interviewed a theme park attractions designer for Legoland, California, and he also worked on a number of attractions for other theme parks as well. So we had an interview with him, and then the next episode, which comes out every week, every Friday, the next one is about Universal Studios, and we are finishing our Hooray for Hollywood series over at Universal Studios Florida, and we are wrapping it up with the final 3 buildings and talking about the real life inspiration behind their designs. So that's what we're talking about over on the Where in the Park podcast. So check us out. All right, Kevin, do you recall what you were talking about before?
I do. All right. So back in June of last year, we had a series all about the dedication plaques at the Disney parks. And we had one episode that included the California Adventure plaques, which actually has had 2 plaques. It's one of the rare situations. I think it's the only Disney park that has this. But when the park first opened, it had a plaque that mentioned that we're going to go from the fertile farmlands to the reaches of space. And that park has never had anything space themed at all since 2001. Like 0% space. It's all been over at Tomorrowland for anything space based. So the fact that from when they built this park, they thought, hey, we're going to include some space things in here eventually. I guess there's like a, I don't know, a poster for like a space shuttle over in the line for Soarin'. But again, that's not really the reaches of space. Right. Where, hey, we're going to go to at least a fictional planet in space. That's very loosely connected, but it's a little bit connected, I guess.
I'm still not sold on it, but again, as I've mentioned on this podcast as well as others, Walt's Apartment and others, that we place trust in the magic of imagination and the Imagineers, and they are not going to just put in a land or an attraction just for the sake of it. It is going to have a story, and it's going to have immersive experiences and theming and all of the things. And I have no doubt that there's going to be a solid transition between Hollywood Land and Avatar Land, whatever they end up calling it. So I'm excited to see it. We'll definitely be there. We'll be there throughout the construction process and everything. So I'm excited for it. I'm curiously optimistic. What's going on?
Not even cautiously, just curiously.
I'm curious.
I am also on the fence on this whole idea, but again, we'll have to wait and see. I was assured that it was going to make sense, but they can always pivot, and I guess that's kind of what we're going to be exploring next year with our Armchair Imagineering. So, Amanda, what did you have in mind for this?
Okay, Armchair Imagineering time, you guys, because we've talked about the history of DCA, and as we've mentioned on this show plenty of times, Disney parks are like that ball of clay where we can always mold and build something new, play around with new ideas. And so in this blue sky session, there's no such thing as a bad idea. We're just throwing stuff at the wall, using our imagination. And one area that I had in mind to plus was Hollywoodland. I love Hollywoodland. There is a lot of connections to real life Hollywood. You can go to each building and there is some sort of inspiration in real life Hollywood, California, the design and infrastructure and all that. So I love that aspect of it. But one thing, or one of the several things that I have on my list here, is I would love an attraction or an experience that shows the how it's made of movie magic. So, like, I know we just talked about Avatar, but instead of Avatar, have the Monsters Inc. attraction be a version of the Great Movie Ride, highlighting those like Hollywood classics throughout the years. They could just take everything from the Great Movie Ride and put it right into that attraction, even expand it out a little bit more. They can use stages 12 and 17, which are just sitting empty right now, have that as extended space if they needed to for this attraction. I think that would be amazing. If you didn't want to use stage 11, or sorry, 12 and 17, then use that space to have like design your own movie, TV show, or commercial, like we were talking about with Ursula, where you were like singing into like this voice capturing device that Ursula had, and then it kind of gave it back to you with the film. Have that, but like you are a director or an actor in a production with props and photo ops and all of those things to really put you in that environment, and then be able to take home a digital copy of whatever you created. I think that would be a lot of fun. And that would have that rewritability as well because you can always create something different. You could even have it have different sections themed to whatever TV show or movie is coming out. And I mean, WandaVision comes to mind. That could have been a whole thing with each different episode being a different genre and inspired set piece. So I think that would be a lot of fun. Also having something like a makeup studio, like the horror makeup um, theater show at Universal, having something like that where we're learning about the movie magic that is makeup. Um, that could be a lot of fun as well in one of those sound stages. Um, I'll pause right there because I have some other ideas. What do you think about that?
The only issue I have with a lot of this is that, again, like back in 2001 when they opened California Adventure, it was a very different world.
Mhm.
Um, Ever since 2007, we've had iPhones as part of our country, part of our planet here, where it kind of changed the way people see things as far as like recording things. Who's going to pay for a recording of themselves when they could just like do that on their phone right now for free? It's already included, and it's just kind of a yeah, I know that Disney's paying some big money for open AI and all that stuff, so they can do some amazing things with AI and humans, but is it gonna be different than what they can do at home? I don't know. It's a tough world. Like we were rewatching the Imagineering story over on Disney Plus last night, where there's an episode all about them working on California Adventure to improve it. And yeah, they were talking about how when they design something for theme parks, like it takes a few years before they get to actually get it into the parks. By the time that they have it open, it's already obsolete technology. So it is a tough sell to be like, hey, we're gonna have it where people come into an attraction and they're gonna do things that they can do at home. Like, I mean, we are recording right now and showing this to the whole world where back when DCA opened, like the internet wasn't that evolved. You didn't have YouTube, I don't think, even by then. So yeah, it's just a very different world. But I love the idea of having more movie making. I know even like Universal Studios has kind of gone away from that. Over Disney's Hollywood Studios, Disney MGM Studios, they used to be really focused on, hey, we're taking you behind the scenes in the movies. This is how we do things. But movies have evolved so much now. It's just kind of like, here's the computer. We do it all in that now. So it's
Right.
just kind of a different world. As much as I loved over, I mean, we were brought up D23, but over at D23 they had the Lucasfilm exhibit where they showed how the volume works. That's where they
Right.
film a lot of their made for Disney Plus shows over there, and it's an amazing technology. It was cool to see it in person, but I don't know if that'd be a full attraction for a theme park.
Well, uh, my counterpoint to that is why do you have like the photographers at Disney to take your
Yeah.
photo when you have your camera right here? It's one of those things of it's a different experience when you have a professional photographer taking your picture. I mean, we did the experience where you had the photographer for 20 minutes and you picked a land and there was your dedicated person to take as many photos as possible. We had like 68 images in 20 minutes. So like having that experience it adds value to the park. And how many times did people go through that line to get to a different land, right? So I'm just saying for an experience, not necessarily an attraction, but an experience where you can have a dedicated photographer or something like that where maybe you are just using your phone but you have access to different props and different um like sections of this giant soundstage warehouse where literally nothing is happening for the guests, and having that as an open experience that would have a high capacity as well, for seemingly
That is
low
the
cost, right? Like if you're talking about just like cardboard cutouts, um, it's shouldn't be that hard of a sell for a lot of value, especially if you pair that with a photo package or something like that. So
getting the high
I don't know.
capacity is kind of the issue there as far as how to make that work. Because 'cause they've tried things where, they have, like, individual rooms for attractions for people to, like, just do kinda their own thing, and
Mhm.
it usually doesn't work out in the long run because it is such a low capacity idea. Even like you were saying, us having a photographer who goes with us, they haven't done that anymore as far as I know. It's an idea that is great until it becomes popular. When it becomes
True.
popular, then it kind of falls apart. So I don't know. Um, again, no bad ideas. I'm just saying like what
No.
might be brought up as far as like
And
a reason not to do it.
and I understand that is all part of the Avatar expansion, so I know for a fact this is not happening, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying we can save these by actually utilizing them. Uh, so one of my other ideas is Mickey's PhilharMagic. Great, great show, right? Great respite for some AAC when you need it. Um, it's fantastic, but I would love to see an enhancement of this by learning more about how sound is created for movies. Like go back to the Mickey shorts where you know the process was all of these different instruments and let's learn more about that all the way up to current day. How is music made with the giant orchestras and putting that sound together and taking us through that history of movie magic through music. I think there's a really big opportunity to learn more about that in fun ways, and you have all of these Disney properties that you can pull off of throughout the scope of time. So,
Yeah, they own Skywalker Sound now too, which is one of the biggest
right,
companies like for all kinds of movies, not just Disney. So
yeah,
that would make a lot of sense for them to have an area in there dedicated in their Hollywood land area to how you add sound. I love that actually. That's a really good idea.
thanks. And I think too with um, having that open space before you actually walk into the theater is a great opportunity to have smaller exhibits like along the wall, like what we saw at the Family Museum in the Presidio, where they had a little exhibit where you can have all of these different musical instruments and you can try and time it with the clip that's being showed. It's hard to have all of these different instruments and time it successfully. So you get a deeper appreciation for how it's done. Especially if you're just like one or two people trying to get six instruments to work. But I think that there's a really big opportunity for that, and especially because nowadays we kind of take it for granted, and we know all of these really big musical scores, but how did that start? Before we had, talkies, we had everything just with music. And how does that tell a story? So I I definitely think regardless if you have Avatar there, they can enhance PhilharMagic right now. Make that happen.
Yeah. They've had exhibits in that space before, as far as where
Right.
the waiting area where it used to be the Muppet Vision waiting area. They've had
Yeah.
like I remember like Frankenweenie having like concept art and maquettes in there back in the day when they had like they used to do that a few times where they would have trailers for upcoming movies and they would
Right.
have stuff for the movie in that area. So they've already designed where to put those things. It wouldn't be hard for them to do. I know like the whole like edutainment in theme parks has been something that they've been gradually getting away from for years, and that breaks my heart. So I would love if they could bring it back because I don't think it is as big of a like I guess like I don't know if people don't like it as much as they think that they don't like it. I guess is kind of what I'm saying. I think there's might be a nostalgia for it, and there is a benefit to it that we haven't had for a while. So yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
I know. When you were saying that, I was making me think of there was a section that used to be at the Universal Studios Hollywood park where it was over where the Transformers ride is today. They used to have a kind of a making of the movies thing in there, where one of it was fully artists, where they had people trying to time with movie, just like you were saying, like that used to
Yeah.
be part of their shows, like one of their three segments that you would go from theater to theater watching that show, and to have something that actually went into depth because there's this very like brief overview and just kind of silly, but to
Yeah.
have it where it just really actually showed you the guts of it and how it works. May have where it's like a actual course on it. Yeah, 100%. That'd be wonderful. Worth the price of
Right?
admission.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then lastly, over in Hollywoodland, I have two other notes about other lands, but my last one for Hollywoodland, the Hyperion Theater needs a show. Full
Right.
stop. We need to have a show there. There's no reason for it to be vacant. I would love Aladdin to come back. I think a lot of people would love Aladdin to come back. Rogers the musical, thumbs up on that, but I get it. I understand people don't really care for it, but we loved it. Um, but man, if we could have Aladdin back, even just for a season, it would sell out every time. Granted, not separate ticket event, but it would be a packed house every single time because the genie's got some things on his chest that he needs to get out. The pop culture references right now.
We figure with Rogers, they sold that like in like a ticket to get popcorn and like a better seat.
Yeah,
They could do that for Aladdin and make this into an actual like revenue generator for them. Because I know it costs a lot to run that show. I get that, and I know
for
prices
sure.
have only gone up since they closed it and all that stuff. But
But
I
that's
would
what
love
I'm
to see
saying.
a show in there. Yeah.
Bring back Aladdin because they still have the sets. You
I
know,
don't know what they have,
just
but they
bring
can
it
make them.
back.
They weren't that elaborate. They could do it again. Yeah.
They were fantastic. Bring it
No, they were
back.
great.
So so that's what I have for Hollywoodland. My other honorable mention, speaking of bringing shows back, we need the Newsies back, you guys. The Newsies need to come back. The trolley, it's our background here if you're watching us over on YouTube. It's there on Buena Vista Street at the front. It could easily be at Carthay Circle, right by the information booth and by Willie's Trail Cart. Put it there, make it a showstopper with the Newsies coming back. It was fantastic. Love the music, love the energy. And I think that that side of Buena Vista Street could use some love and excitement. You have the Five and Dime provide having that show right there. That's also part of the parade route, but having something else just to kind of fill in that, I think that would be really great. So I love the Newsies. Kevin, do you love the Newsies?
I mean, the Newsies were great. I mean, after a while, the Suitcase and a Dream song would get a little bit like, man, why are they still here? But I mean, it also kind of
False.
interrupted traffic, in my opinion. But it was a fun show. I don't hate it, but I don't know if they'll ever bring it back. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Uh, no,
But
I
yeah.
would love to see it back, even if it was just like one day a week. I think that would be a lot of fun. Suitcase
Only
and a
when
Dream
we're there, we'll
song.
call ahead. Hey guys,
Hey,
we're coming to the park. Schedule your Newsies to sing for us. Um,
yes,
yeah.
and
Yeah, I'm
then
glad they still have the Mickey Mouse in like the Newsies costume there, so
yeah.
that's good.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll take that. We'll take that. Though we are going to be having, as this is the 25th anniversary of DCA, they are going to be rocking some super cute outfits for this season of celebration. So I cannot wait to see them in person. They are so cute with their fun colors and their outfits, and we've just seen Mickey and Minnie's outfits right now. I'm sure the other characters that are also along Buena Vista Street are also going to be having some fun color changes with their outfits, but we shall see. But
Funny, for as far as my ideas go, again, I don't have a lot of
yes,
ideas for this. Again, I love California Adventure just the way it is. Let's be clear. Um, but I was looking at the map and I realized, like, looking at all the different sections, everything is kind of slowly over the years, of the last 25 years, turned into either IP based lands or things that are based on stuff from movies. Like it is happening more and more. Like Pacific Wharf, like I said, became San Francisco from Big Hero 6. Cars Land is
right,
based on the movie Cars. The entire Pixar area, Pixar Pier is based off of Pixar films. There's a few like shorts in there, but yeah, it's all based off of movies, right? Obviously you have Goofy and Mickey kind of bucking that trend. Like they aren't movies, but it's still I guess they were originally shown in theaters though, probably for those
right.
shorts.
Yeah, with the
So
shorts, yeah.
so yeah, it isn't completely my idea. I know I've read it before, where they can turn Disney. Well, by the way, they got rid of the apostrophe s at one point. It used to be Disney's California Adventure, now it's Disney California Adventure. But they can easily turn that into Disney Cinematic Adventure and keep the same DCA and have it where now you have it where it's all based on movies. The only issue that you have, right, is that you have the Grizzly Peak area. So when the park opened, you had the Golden State District that included the sub districts of Condor Flats and Grizzly Peak. Eventually, Grizzly Peak took over Condor Flats. Now you have this whole wooded area that turns into kind of a national park area, and you have the Grand Californian over there, which makes it really hard to like be like, we're just going to gut this and turn it into something not based on forests. So you kind of have to like fold it into it. But I think that's the only really thing that's making it where you can't just go right into the movies. Even Buena Vista Street, it is leading to a movie theater, right? You have the Carthay Circle Theater right ahead of you. Sure, it's a restaurant in the park. I get that. But in the real world, it was a movie theater. It's where Snow White premiered. So right at the very beginning, you were heading into a movie. To the left, you have a land based on movies. You'd be heading over to Avatar, which is a movie. So that would make sense too within that storyline. Go over to the Avengers campus. Everything there, it's not really comic book based, it's more MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe based. It's not like the Islands of Adventure Marvel land they have over there where it's all a comic book. This is the movies. So, yeah, so just tweaking Grizzly Peak into making it into more cinematic. I was like trying to think like how could we do this without like, just like getting rid of it. And you have some Disney movies that take place in forests, right? You got Bambi, Sleeping Beauty, Fox and the Hound. Even Frozen 2 has some scenes in the forest. You can get lost in the
Yeah,
woods there, I hear.
that's right.
Yeah, it's a song, everybody, if you don't know. It's fine. You can watch it if you want to. It's
I
not
I
required to.
guarantee people just heard you say Frozen and Forest and Lost in the Woods, and now
It's
it's
in their
stuck in their
head,
head all
yeah.
day.
I
So sorry.
apologize for that. Sword in the Stone, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they all have scenes in the woods. You can have it where the entire area becomes like an enchanted forest kind of like zone just based off of IP from Disney. But there's also, I mean, if Galaxy's Edge, if they redo it and it becomes really popular right now, if they converted that area into Endor now, I'd be all for it as well. So
Oh,
would the hotel make as much sense? I don't know, but again, you can do some stuff over there. That's all I'm saying. There are Disney scenes in the woods that you can retheme that as well. But yeah.
yeah.
But everything else I think would just kind of fit together. Like you would know it's still California based. Even the thing what's funny about Endor, right, is that a lot of that was actually filmed in California. So even if you do like have it where it's still California Adventure, it could still make sense there. So I was thinking about that also. You have the Little Mermaid, which seems absurd because it's like taking place in was it Denmark or I don't know where that story takes place. Either way, not in California, right? But but the film itself, the actual like drawings for that film were all in like the Burbank Glendale area. So it is a California product. So it's not like it's so crazy that it's in California Adventure as you might think just by like looking at it at face value.
Mm, I don't know about
Blowing
that.
your mind?
Like,
That's
there's a lot of
technically
things
true.
that were drawn in Burbank and Glendale. That doesn't mean it's a I understand it's a California product, but I
Yeah.
don't know about that. But as far as the forest thing, when you mentioned, because I before we hit record, I just asked like, I don't want to know your ideas. Just tell me what land you're working on. And he said Grizzly Peak, and I had one note about Grizzly Peak, and that was we just need to trim the trees a little bit. Just trim the trees. That way we get to see the bear. Right, he's a little hidden right now. The trees have grown, and that's great. But we're saying to like just trim it back a little bit so we still get that forced perspective. Otherwise, no notes. And then you come in with indoor um and blow my mind. So yeah, I do I see what you're saying. I think Grizzly Peak is pretty perfect though. Because it is the place that feels like you can really slow down and take it in like a national park, right? That is what it's based off of, right, with the redwoods and all the things, and I feel like you can do that in Grizzly Peak, where you can just take that leisurely stroll and you feel like you're in nature, and, you hear the waterfalls of, the Grizzly River Rapids and all of that, and it is very much tied to nature, and I don't think you get that in a lot of places uh, at at DCA. So, I like, that area a lot, um, and yeah, especially that back area behind, well, I guess it's in front of Grizzly Rapids, but, like, where you go behind the little trail, it used to be a smoking section, but it's not anymore, where you can get closer to the waterfalls and stuff. It's just very peaceful, back there, so, yeah. I like it, but
I love it too. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, right before I even started, I loved California Adventure just the way it is. But
right.
if it has to be changed, to make Avatar make sense, that is one way to do it. Is just to have where the theme of this entire park is now movies. I don't know if Universal is gonna like I don't know if there's much of a I don't want to say as much of a competitor because there's still a very great park, still a competitor, obviously, right? But I don't think people really see it as like that is just movies because it's evolved so much as well, right?
Right.
So it isn't quite the place you go to see how movies are made kind of park. It isn't the only place that can be based on movies. Obviously, we've learned over in Florida, you can have Universal Studios right down the road from Disney's Hollywood Studios, and they both do well. So I don't think we're at the point now like we were back then where it was more experimental. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something that they can do. I don't know if they will do it. I don't know if I want them to do it, but yeah,
Yeah, especially because that would be yet another Star Wars land. Um,
yeah,
but it would be a different experience. Would you change Soarin' over California though?
100%.
To what?
Something Star Wars. Yeah. Soaring
Something
over the galaxy. Can you imagine? Oh, it'd be beautiful. So
like you're on a TIE fighter just
you're still hang gliding. It's fine. You're just going from galaxy to galaxy. Not even like because Star Tours and all those are like such like thrill attractions. To have like just a mellow attraction going through beautiful scenes from the Star Wars universe. Sure. I mean, it doesn't even have to be Endor. I mean, obviously, it could be like Kashyyyk as well, where the Wookiees are from. There's places in the Star Wars universe that would fit in over there if you had to do it. Again, we've already seen that over in Florida, you can have two Harry Potter lands when you have two parks side by side, and they're both successful. So it's not like it's the craziest idea. And it all
well,
depends on how well this update to Star Wars goes over in Disneyland. So,
exactly. Exactly. There's the asterisk right there because they dropped a lot of money to build Batu West and East. And now we're seeing, years later that they're needing to do like they did with DCA and kind of overhaul and revamp and add some IP in there to try and plus it. So that will definitely be interesting. I mean, I can see in when they do like the season of the Force, right? Changing that over. because they have things in Tomorrowland for Season of the Force. Obviously, you have things in Batu. You can also have something at the Grizzly Peak area to have something like that in your universe there. That would
If
definitely bring
anything's
people to the other
possible.
park too. You know, those
Yeah.
that just do one park one day would definitely give them, the Season of the Force in both areas. So
Sell some more lightsabers, why not?
yeah, we can all use some more lightsabers.
That's about it. As far as, I mean, the rest of the park, I don't know what else we would need to change because again, like that would still fit the theme. Obviously where Little Mermaid is, we have like that little like San Francisco area. I'm sure that could be rethemed to something else, but I don't know. There's still some things that need to be
Yeah,
touched up. Yeah, the whole
yeah.
wine section. I don't know what movie that's from, but do
Um,
they own Sideways? I don't know. After the Fox acquisition, I don't know what Disney owns.
that's true.
That'd
I'm
be a
sure
really
there's
weird
some,
movie to build a theme park land on. But
but there's plenty of things that they can pull from that have wine aspects of it. I'm sure.
sure.
I don't know. Some Fox or 20th century, like 20th century something rather, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
But
I don't.
anyway, but we want to hear from you, our lovely listeners. What do you think of our ideas? Are we out of our minds or are we onto something? Obviously, we don't work for Disney. We are just big Disney and theme park fans in general. So we know you are too. That's why you're listening to us. So we would love to hear your thoughts. So if you are on social media, follow us on Walt's Apartment Productions and send us a message, send us a DM, give us a comment and share your thoughts, or join us on our absolutely free Discord. We are chatting about all things theme parks. We have a special channel just for Imagine That, and we can chat all day long about your ideas and have a blue sky session over there. So, if you have enjoyed this episode, please scroll down on your podcast player and give us a 5-star rating. And if you have an extra minute or two to leave a written review or just share it with another theme park loving friend, that would be amazing. It only takes a couple of seconds and it tells Apple, Spotify, and all the other players that we're doing something pretty magical over here. And it helps out the channel so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're checking us out on YouTube, hi. Don't forget to subscribe and all of the things like, subscribe, follow, share it out with people so you never miss an episode. And of course, be sure to check out our amazing sponsors. Again, our absolutely free Discord and our Patreon page for all the details. The links to everything are in the show notes. And until next time, continue to place trust in the magic of imagination. And remember, the details within the parks surround us in our everyday lives. Imagine that. See you next time.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.